You're watching Oilers Nation every day with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
This is a message to the United States of America. Canada is better than you. There you go.
Free bird ain't flying so high anymore, baby.
All the birds are down.
Down. Eagle did not land. Let's go.
What a night.
Was it night?
I'm lost for words, but I have to tell you about some words. And I have to tell you that the show is a presentation of Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I will say I had a little bit of fun over at Bet365 the last couple of weeks.
Did you hit anything last night?
I hit a lot last night. It was awesome. But I'll get into that later. A little tease. You got to stick around. Keep that watch time up for us. The other one is, obviously, we're in the Sports Closet studio. Sherwood Park Mall, St. Albert Center. Tyler always says mall. It's a center. Kingsway Mall is the other one, too.
City. I gave away a nice royal blue Edmonton Oilers jersey at Greta last night, courtesy of our friends from Sports Closet.
Damn. Was there anyone on it?
No, it was just a blank one. So I said, it's a blank canvas. Could be anything you want it to be, buddy.
It could be. You can just go to Sports Closet and get it done. Whoever the Oilers go and get at the trade deadline. Miko Rantanen, perhaps. More on
that's
that
in the rumor
later.
Mill. That's in the rumor mill.
Oh, Aaron, what a night. The team I keep saying Oilers. Canada wins 3-2 in overtime at the Four Nations Faceoff. Unbelievable. I mean, who else but Connor McDavid goes out and gets the overtime winner from what the Team USA was doing, quite frankly, is beyond me, and I think beyond many people in the chat. And before we get too deep into things, let's take a look at what people are saying. Chell Iverson, first one in. We are the champions, my friends, and a couple of music emojis there. Our friend Austin, tons of messages in there like he always does. Gets the likes up in the chat, he says.
He basically works for us trying to get the likes up.
A lot of people liked my lead. I'm glad. It was obviously, I thought it was a great quote yesterday, actually, from John Cooper. You have that one if you want to pull that one up. We'll get into all the game recap. There's tons and tons to talk about, to be honest. Let us know in the Odd Company YouTube chat right now, too, what your most memorable moment was from last night. But this is a quote from John Cooper. John Cooper, shout out Eric Engels for this as well, over on X. John Cooper on Team Canada delivering a win for the country. That country being Canada. I just hope Canada's proud because every player in that room is proud to be a Canadian. And yeah, we needed a win. Not only our team, but Canada needed a win. And the players bared that on their shoulders. This one was different. This one wasn't a win for themselves. This was a win for the 40+ million people. And the guys knew it and they delivered. I had goosebumps just reading that right then.
Up, John Cooper. That's incredible. He even gave a speech one of the other games, and he was like, let's go out there and make our country proud. That was like the send off. Oh, put it in my veins.
Obviously, I think hockey was the main focus of the event, but obviously there was a lot of political angles on top of this too, unfortunately, which leaked into our great game. And look, we can all sit here and pretend that they're not real, but it's just unfortunately part of sports in many ways. But Aaron, let's not get into that. You were down at Greta yesterday. There was an awesome video of the game-winning goal. Do we have that?
Yeah,
the video? Let's pull that one up really quickly.
Do you want the audio? Because I almost passed out during all of this.
Sure, let's do the audio.
As I said to you, dead sober. And I seriously blacked out. Like it was absolutely insane. Here's a good.
That was a great jump.
Oh, no, I got absolute vert. I don't know who knocked over the phone. Absolute blackout here. I'm like, oh, where is it? And then in all time moments.
Of course it was Connor! Of course it was Connor!
This video, I never realized how long the video was until later on I retweeted it. And I think the whole thing goes for like a minute and a half, right? Or something like that.
I run out of breath at one point. You can hear me give it to Oz. I'm like, it's still filming. Just take it.
We're number one! We're number one!
Feels good. It feels really, really good. But Aaron, just give us your overall thoughts from last night's game. It's just Aaron and I here for now, by the way. Tyler might join in a little bit. Anthony DeMarco is joining us at 12:30. Forgot to give you a rundown on the entire show. Later on, obviously, the Edmonton Oilers play tomorrow, which feels crazy to say that we're just going to jump right into NHL hockey.
How am I supposed to go back to regular season hockey after what I've experienced the last 8 days? But nonetheless, Greta, Sorry I'm not on camera, everybody, but you all know what I look like. Absolutely electric, dude. And I was a little like, it's a weekday, so I'm curious what the turnout, nice, good on the blue light there. I'm curious what the turnout's going to be. It was packed. There wasn't an open seat available. It was a free ticketed event, once again, in support of the Ben Stelter Foundation, which I don't see any super chats yet. That's not my pre and post family, and we're going to be back tomorrow. Once again, at Greta, we're going to be back there again for Brunch for Ben, but nervous energy in that building, brother, and I think a lot of us were like, well, the last time we were in this building for a moment, a game like this, it didn't go very well. Absolutely electric. I bit all of my fingernails off of my fingers because it was, and I'm not even a nail biter. It just happened to go that way. And then McDavid scores that goal, and the entire bar is chanting his name. Greta does great stuff. We gave out some prepaid Pink Whitney to everybody in the building, and I had to leave because Smart Boy works again in the morning. But that bar was not shutting down.
I'm rightfully so.
Rightfully
so. I know, again, like this tournament, we were all very unsure what it was going to be. But the players came out and performed at an elite level right from puck drop of Canada, Sweden until literally the last shot of the tournament. It was, I think, a perfect ending, really, like the NHL to draw it up, for Connor McDavid to win it for Team Canada in overtime. Marner beating Matthews on the pass. Matthews making a mistake, and then
what was Austin Matthews doing on that? We'll go through it. We'll go through the goals here, but oh my, what a way for that to end.
Crazy thing. There's a couple of things in the chat. The first one is from Jaron. He says, Liam, I'm coming to Edmonton for the game against the Kraken in March. What are some things I need to check out while I'm in Edmonton? We'll get to that a little bit later on, but if you've got some ideas for Jaron, let him know in the chat right now, because that'll be very helpful. Your Talus Balls, the mall, obviously. The zoo. We do have a super chat from our friend Mr. Burns. $5 going to the Ben Stelter Foundation, where all our super chat donations go. We're very, very happy to be partners with such a great cause. Obviously, the Ben Stelter Foundation. We have our brunch for Ben coming up tomorrow for the game against Philadelphia Flyers. You'll be there.
Oilers hockey so quickly.
So
it's a morning game too.
Yeah, and then you can get on with your day. The super chat. This is from Mr. Burns. This is to let you all know that Rusty lost our bet. He must now wear a Team Canada shirt to the gym for a week. Hashtag love you, Rusty. There you go.
All
Rusty,
for the love of the game. All for the love of the game.
Rusty did reply. Oh no, Rusty's not in here today. Where are you, Rusty?
He didn't want to face the music today. I understand.
Couldn't take the heat. But yeah, let's get into last night's game. Obviously, I want to skip all the other goals, Aaron, if it's okay, and just get straight to the Connor McDavid overtime winner, because there's not really anything else.
I fell asleep to this on loop last night.
Yeah, it was lovely. On the Spanish version, apparently you can hear him say, hey, Mitch, or something like that. But Mitch Marner, great feed to Connor McDavid, who was, again, wide open in the middle of the ice. I'm not sure what the USA were thinking there. Obviously, Austin Matthews seems to be the one that have left his man. And then celebrations, I did think about what they were going to do. Do you throw your gloves in the air? Like, how hard do you kind of celebrate, I guess? And I think pretty well. This was a good celebration. If
I blacked out, Connor's allowed to black out in his celebration.
Yeah, there was another angle of how high Connor McDavid jumped. He got some air on that one, almost as high as Aaron did at Greta last night. But is this the great pass by Marner? I mean, hard one to mess up at the end of the day. McDavid beating Connor Hellebuck, and this is the one where you can see him jump. He looks like he doesn't really know what to do, and then there it is. Look at that little bunny hop from Connor McDavid, and the guys come rush him off the bench, and awesome. To skip ahead a little bit on what we have in the notes here, Aaron, the trophy celebration.
Oh, yeah.
Really bad. Really bad. Like, Sidney Crosby raises it pretty well. Like, good celebration out of him. Brad Marchand as well, but then I don't think
Connor cared whatsoever the moment he scored that goal.
I don't think they cared about the trophy. I think the point of it was just to prove, like, hey, like, we actually will come out here and put on a fantastic event. We're the best country in the world still at hockey. And the United States, some credit, the best team they've put forward in a long, long time. Oh, yeah. They're obviously missing some guys too, like Quinn Hughes, Matthew Tkachuk not playing much at all in that game. His injury seems to be quite substantial, actually. He could probably miss some decent time for the Florida Panthers, which ahead of the trade deadline. I don't love for the Oilers, considering that. But the Oilers will play Florida on this road trip, if I'm not mistaken.
I do believe here.
Thinking about it, I'm so blacked out on what the Oilers are actually up to nowadays. But yeah, there's another super chat here from Bob Stoffer, $13.99. Everyone was on the same page last night, team and the country. Love this game. Thank you, Oilers Nation. You guys make it easy. Love everyone. Thank you, Bob, and thank you for moving your radio show to a later hour.
We really appreciate that.
Yeah, that was
the
huge, Bob.
That's for us.
And I appreciate you always being in the chat, Bob.
They do play Florida February 27th.
Okay, so it's likely Matthew Tkachuk will not be in there. I haven't thought about that much. But Aaron, what did you make of the Team USA? Obviously, like a very different style to what Canada had, but in the sense of like the physicality, and like Canada's physicality was a bit further down the lineup, but last night, he didn't play too much of a factor, I found. And maybe that is because Tkachuk was out.
Yeah, I guess I don't want to say that could be a big point to it. Like, we weren't going to get 3 fights in 9 seconds. We all knew that. There was way too much on the line. Thought maybe you could get a scrap later on in the game, but it's kind of like a Game 7 where everything is way too important for you to mess around and be unavailable 4 or 5 minutes. So I don't think the physicality was, I guess in that sense, like the scrum's a big thing last night, but the USA, I felt for most of this game, I almost said the Oilers. Team Canada was just dumping and chasing repeatedly and not getting a whole heck of a lot out of it, but they kind of stuck with it. It was more of a low-event game. Jordan Binnington outdueled Connor Hellebuck, which is insane to say. Jordan, never said a bad word about you in my life, but we're talking physicality, something you and I mentioned before the show. Is Jacob Slavin the best shutdown defenseman in the entire NHL?
Yeah.
Because that dude was a monster yesterday. The last game, all tournament long, felt like every time there was a play broken up for Team Canada in their offensive end there in the USA D zone, it was always Jacob Slavin. Always making plays, blocking shots. He got the stick on Sidney Crosby there in front of the net. And then the point I made to you, Jakob Slavin, somebody check that birth certificate because I don't believe that whatsoever. But that dude is a monster.
Super check name. Jakob
Slavin.
Come on. I see your super chat there, Matthew. Michael. I'll get to that in 2 seconds. But yeah, just on Slavin. I said to you before the show, I was like, this is it's such a short tournament, and we'll get into like the MVP stuff too. But like, there's probably a way you could have given it to someone like Jacob Slavin if you really wanted to because of how good he was. And it's only 4 games. I'm like, I don't think necessarily it has to go to the winning team, a player on the winning team. I also maybe shouldn't have gone to Nathan McKinnon, but either way, like he's not like he was terrible for them by any means. Quickly to the super chat again. You guys are throwing him in there big time. Michael, Billig. Sorry if I mess it up. $13.99. So freaking happy for the team and so proud to be Canadian right now. Donate this to the Ben Stelter Foundation. We absolutely will. And again, all our super chats on all our shows go to the Ben Stelter Foundation. I'm curious what people think of Jacob Slavin too, and not to take away too much attention from Canada, but he was fantastic, and I think honestly a huge difference maker in both the games against Canada. Connor point there, Slavin is the kind of D the Oilers are missing. I would agree, but I don't know if there's any.
I don't think Jacob Slavins grow off trees.
I think 31 other teams are missing a Jacob Slavin in their lineup, to be honest. McDowell said, I love Slavin. Hunter on Slavin's Carolina teammate. Seth Jarvis, the new Shimpad assassin, especially on Jacob Slavin, that one was all a bit unnecessary.
Absolutely. Also, Jarvis's boys look exactly like what I would expect Seth Jarvis's boys to look like. They look like my friends.
Yeah, I know. I thought that too. A couple other things in the Four Nations talk, which is brought to you by Service Credit Union, which I forgot to read earlier on. The Service Big Share Contest is now in full swing with your chance to win $1 million by just saving money. Anyone can enter by being a member and saving with Service. Every $500 save gives you 5 entries, into the Service Big Share Contest. Contest ends April 30th, so you still got a bit of time this year, by the way. Skill test required for rules. Visit service.ca/win. $1 million.
Yeah, they couldn't see me do that.
I wonder if they'll just make it service.ca/Canada if it's win.
Oh, you mic dropping like Justin Trudeau last night.
Yeah, can we pull out the Justin Trudeau tweet, please? Look, we've been getting into politics a lot recently, but this is an awesome tweet.
This is a bar. This is a mic drop. Trudeau. This is whatever you think about, whatever. That was sick.
For our podcast listeners, last night, moments after Canada won, our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau tweeted out, "You can't take our country and you can't take our game." An unreal quote from the Prime Minister. I don't care what side of the political spectrum you stand on. That is fantastic from Justin Trudeau. Hey, you know what wasn't fantastic?
We have a special guest right now.
Oh, I'll ask him about Trudeau's celebrations. Hello, Tyler.
Hello, Tyler.
Oh, did he just freeze on me in that moment?
No,
there he is. No, he's back.
Am I on my laptop?
Oh, here, let me check.
Am I here?
You're here, but you're so quiet. And I'm looking down at my laptop now. Hello? Oh, there we go.
Oh, everything's frozen on my end.
No,
there
I see you loud
What's
and
going
clear
on, boys?
now.
How's it going?
Holy moly, we
okay,
just got a huge
Justin.
super chat, Tyler.
Okay, well, let me hear it.
$69.99 from Cup. Yeah. Hell of a win. Now let's bring home the cup to Edmonton. Cup, yeah. That is probably the biggest donation we've ever had, to be honest. But Tyler, where are you currently?
Some very, very small town in Quebec. Pat and I were sitting here doing our road trip back home. We just crossed the border like 2 minutes. I think it's called like Pike River or something like that. We're outside their general store right now.
Oh, nice. How's the drive been so far?
It's actually kind of funny because as we drove through Massachusetts, which is hard to say, and then New Hampshire, and then Vermont, it was all good for those three states. As soon as you get back to Canada, the snow's blowing, it's windy, and it's like not as easy to drive it, but it's still going pretty good.
Good. Okay, so obviously let's get to the talk from last night's game. You did stick around this time for the overtime, which was good to see. I'm glad you got to witness it. Just like give me a vibe check of what it was like in there when Connor McDavid scored.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, man. Like again, no cheering in the press box, but there was the little fist pump under the table, like yes. And of course, it's Connor too, so like you're extra fired up because an Oiler and a player like that does it. But yeah, it was interesting up there. Pat and I. So our game plan was immediately after the game ends, if we run, we can get back to our Airbnb in 15 minutes. So then that's where we had to do post game from. So as soon as he scored, it was like, stand up. Yes, Connor scored. He did it. Watch the celebration for a couple of seconds. And it was like, grab your backpack, run down the stairs at the TD Garden and get out of there. But he silenced those American fans really fast. Walking out of the arena, there was a lot of yelling going on, and it was not pro-Canada yelling. It was very anti-Canada.
That is surprising. I did not see that one coming. One person who took a lot of criticism throughout this tournament, but was unreal yesterday, especially in overtime. Jordan Binnington, I mean, what can you say about that guy? That save on Tkachuk, the one right after on Matthews too, he really showed up for Canada when they needed him.
The glove saves, the blocker save on Austin Matthews as well. He absolutely came through, and I was kind of, doing it a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but, like, Jordan Binnington was eventually due to have a really good game. Like, he as much as he's an average goalies have great games eventually. So the fact that he was the better of the two goalies in that hockey game is stunning. Like, if you look at the quality of goals that were given up, like the ones that beat Binnington were really, really good chances. And I know Hellebuyck, like the McDavid one was a great chance, but like that McKinnon one through traffic, like those don't usually beat Connor Hellebuyck. So again, did not think Canada would be able to win the goaltending battle the way they did, and obviously Binnington deserves all the credit for that. And now it's again kind of interesting the way you view guys when you watch them play for your country and you have that sort of support for them. But like as I watched Jordan Binnington skate down the ice after the game-winning goal, and he just kind of like threw his stick to the side, like nonchalantly took off his helmet and placed it down, did a little spin, all of that. I was just like, man, he just oozes swagger and confidence. And when he does that shit with the Blues, you're like, I hate him. Why does he do this? Like, he's so irritating. But then he does it for Canada, and you're like, hell yeah, dripped out Jordan Binnington. Let's go.
Yeah, it was unreal, to be honest. That save on Tkachuk, I really couldn't believe what I had just seen. But another guy, too, was unreal yesterday. And I think pretty, I guess, undervalued coming into the tournament, Sam Bennett. Like they said on the broadcast, his first shift in the tournament was that fight with Brady Tkachuk. I never realized he was literally called off the bench by Brady to fight him. And then he goes on to the final and scores a goal. But a huge impact from him yesterday.
absolutely massive. Kind of cool. The Oilers Twitter account. Two childhood friends from Newmarket, Ontario, Sam Bennett and Connor McDavid, tie the game and win the game for Team Canada. But again, that's a guy whose selection to the team I heavily criticized, right, along with Jordan Binnington too. But again, in moments like this, you need guys who know how to roll. And like for some players, I think we saw some guys have a really tough adjustment from going, with their NHL teams playing 18, 19 minutes a night to playing 11, 12, 13 minutes. Like I think Brad Marchand really struggled at points in this tournament. Mitch Marner had a fantastic final game, but he was an absolute ghost against Finland and for the most part against USA last Saturday, right? So those guys and some other names too, like even a Jarvis and a Konechny, I felt like they really struggled to adjust to playing the role Canada needed them to. Sam Bennett just slid into that spot perfectly. Every time he was on the ice, it was noticeable. It doesn't matter if it was, if he was getting a bit of a double shift or if he was getting his first shift in 6 or 7 minutes, he'd go out there, skate hard, and he made like really nice, simple plays as well. So Sam Bennett gets full marks for what he contributed to this Canadian team, both from an energy perspective over the last few games and then obviously in the goal department.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you said. And too, like you talk about Mitch Marner there, like he really didn't play well this tournament, but he was really good in the final, and that's what makes like the decision for the UFC yesterday not to play Kyle Connor and Chris Kreider instead, who's honestly a good NHLer for sure, but like he's no Kyle Connor anymore, is he? And it's just like it felt like the US made some decisions in their lineup that really just came back and bit them in the ass, especially on that fourth line of what people are calling the Empire State of Mid.
Oh, wow. I like that one. But yeah, I agree with you. Like part of the reason, and we talked about this on the show, I talked about it in my preview article, but like put guys on your team who have the skill to change the game in one play. And that's what Canada had with Mitch Marner. He made that pass to Sam Bennett. Then he made the pass to Connor McDavid as well. And it's like he made two very, very highly skilled plays, and it helped Canada win the game. And you sit there and you look at the U.S. and I mean, go to Natural Stat Trick, Liam, and look at the numbers when Brock Nelson was on the ice. They got absolutely caved. Look at the numbers when Chris Kreider was on the ice. He only played 6 minutes and 25 seconds. And it's like, you're telling me Kyle Connor couldn't have done more with his 9-10 minutes? Kyle Connor, if he's on a 2-on-1 or gets a bit of a breakaway or whatever, that like he's not cashing that in. I thought it was very dumb. And it's also like extra dumb when you consider the layer of hindsight. And like Matt Tkachuk could not play. Played 6 minutes, tried, had to sit out. It's like, okay, so then you were jumbling around your top six. Wouldn't you have rather just been like, all right, Kyle Connor, you're playing with Jack Eichel for the rest of tonight. Like, go do something. So I think that was a bit of an overthinking thing from Mike Sullivan and the U.S., but hey, we're not complaining.
No, we're more than happy now. You can say that stuff now that you're over the border. You're back on home soil. Last couple for you quickly. We talked about him a little bit earlier, but like Jacob Slavin, we all know how good of a defenseman he is, but it really did feel like it was his coming out party. Like do you think there's a better like shutdown defenseman in the NHL than Jacob Slavin?
There might not be, man. And again, like coming to best on best hockey, sometimes it shows some guys' true colors, right? And Slavin on the ice against nothing but elite competition, and he was still looking like a guy who was just an absolute brick wall, man. It was really, really impressive. I think you're right. He doesn't get enough love as just how high end of a shutdown D-man that he is, and he was giving Canada fits. Like he easily prevented 2 goals in that hockey game, easily.
Oh, the Crosby one was nuts. Like he I can't believe he got in the way of that. They both turned at like basically the same time. But the last question for you, obviously Nathan MacKinnon named MVP of the tournament. Do you think that was the right decision? Now we have a poll in the chat right now. 37% of people, believe it or not, say Connor McDavid should have won tournament MVP.
Stunning. Here's what I'll say about that is, if you were a voter, you had to have your ballot in by like the 10-minute mark of the third period or the 5-minute mark. And you could stipulations in your ballot. You could say like, whoever scores the overtime winner gets my number 1 spot. Winning goalie, you could have said, gets my number 1 spot. But the problem, if you would have been, again, in the shoes of a voter, if you would have said, whoever scores the overtime winner gets my number 1 spot on my ballot, and it ends up being Seth Jarvis, are you really going to sit there and be like, God damn it, I voted for Seth Jarvis to win MVP or whatever, like Thomas Harley? Like, it would have made no sense. So at the moment, 10 minutes left, you're going, Nathan MacKinnon opened the scoring tonight. Nathan MacKinnon's been Canada's leading scorer. If Canada wins, it's not unrealistic to think MacKinnon would have played a role in the OT winner. So, like, again, on your ballot, you would have gone scenario Canada wins. Yeah, it makes sense to have Nathan McKinnon there. I would still have made a strong case for Connor McDavid, but you have to remember, at that point, he wasn't having a good final game.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you're sitting there going, sure, he opened the scoring the last few games. He's been really, really solid, but, like, he's also been quiet for a long stretch here. So could you justify putting McDavid there? With Binnington, he had some sloppy moments early in the tournament. Again, heading into the overtime, in my group chat with my buddies, they were like, Jordan Binnington is swimming in his crease right now. And I was like, yeah, he is, like, overcommitting to shots. Like, he did not look like a guy capable of doing what he did in overtime. So I think you have to keep that context in mind, that, like, the voters at that moment, it was justified for McKinnon. And in hindsight, maybe not. Maybe I would have even put, like, Sidney Crosby there, but he wasn't having a great final by any stretch. And McKinnon was their best player last night for the first, call it, 50 minutes of the game.
I would agree, and especially when you walk through like how the voting all kind of goes down and everything. Like, how could you have put McDavid on there? Like, he wasn't that great against, who'd they play in the first one? Sweden. Like, he wasn't that good.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the line mates were a big thing, and then good against the U.S. and Finland, but yeah, kind of fell away, I guess, at the start of the thing. But tomorrow, last one, I promise, but Oilers play Philly. Are you going to be at brunch for Ben, or are you going to stay at home for a little bit?
No, I do land at 11:30ish tonight, so I'll be at brunch for Ben. I might not be there early to, like, help you guys set up and all that, but I will be at brunch for Ben. I can promise that.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to seeing you. We can have some Big Mac poutine together if you like.
I'm 50% poutine after spending all this time in Montreal.
Fair enough. Okay, well, enjoy the rest of your ride. I've got Anthony DeMarco coming up right away. Goodbye, Pat. Thanks for listening, Pat.
Bye, Pat. Great producing.
Bonjour, au revoir, some shit like that. I don't know.
Au revoir. Au revoir.
Merci. Okay, goodbye. What a roller coaster.
Liam, I had my first ever Big Mac poutine last night.
Aren't they good? It's really different kind of flavor.
I think that's my new favorite thing on the menu. It tastes exactly like a Big Mac.
It really does. Okay. Tyler's obviously very excited to be coming home. And I think one thing he's looking forward to coming home to, I'll read this one now, Aaron, before we get too ahead of ourselves. But he's got a Douglas mattress waiting for him at home. And I know Tyler brags about that a lot. And I'll tell you something, I've got one as well. And I put it in my spare bedroom because I already have one on my mattress.
Treating your guests.
When my guests come, they don't want to stay anywhere else. So I should probably get them a worse mattress sometimes, to be honest. But
can't wait to sleep over at Liam's house.
Yeah, Douglas Mattress, local company, right here in Edmonton. Check them out. Over 250,000 Canadians own a Douglas. That's a crazy number. They offer a 20-year warranty, free shipping across Canada. And here's a little trick for you. I gotta look him in the camera for this one, Aaron. So, if you ever want to spook your significant other, this is a great way to do it. The Douglas mattress comes in this huge box, okay? You open the box, and it's rolled up. It's actually really easy to kind of store and
we showed Tyler's photos on the show before.
Oh, that's right. We did. That's right. So, you unbox it, and it slowly opens up, and you're like, oh, is this going to like make a big noise? And you go, bah! And you scare your significant other. That's exactly what I did. And it was awesome. It was a perfect way to welcome the Douglas mattress to our home. But
that's love, brother.
That's love. Tyler's appearance brought to you by Douglas Mattress. Couple minutes till Anthony is here. Quickly,
Who would have been your MVP? I'm curious. Because this poll is actually, like, I knew McDavid would be leading this poll. But
yeah.
McKinnon 28, Binnington 32, McDavid 40. It's pretty close.
I really don't know.
I probably
would have gone McKinnon too, to be fair. I think he had, obviously, the huge game against Sweden. Played really well against Sweden. 2 goals against them. Goal and assist, whatever it was. Yeah. I can't remember. He played really well.
I think he was Canada's most consistent player.
I think in such a short tournament, it was hard to get like a full like grip on like who the best player is. And when you have a team of like so many stars, like I think it could have been many of them. Hunter said Crosby. I think Crosby was probably in for the run-in until that final game. But I mean, he opened the tournament with the player of the game and had 3 assists, so he was really, really promising in that game.
And I do understand the McDavid. He was fighting it, brother, for at least 2 periods. I don't know if it was the Boston ice. I don't know what was going on, but that puck was jumping all over his stick and just wasn't going his way, man.
It wasn't great for him.
Similar to Crosby in 2010, because I remember he struggled in that tournament well, and then all you remember is the golden goal, baby.
Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters.
Our friend Anthony is here.
Okay, quickly, Ryan S. says McKinnon. Hunter again says Crosby, sadistic angel, said McKinnon. Chell Iverson said Connor Hellebuck, Tony MVP. It's obvious. I actually wouldn't disagree with you at all. At the end of the day, he was fantastic in the 2 games he played. Maybe not playing in the 3rd game damaged him, but I doubt that too. Shea also said McKinnon hands down. But anyway, maybe we can just ask Anthony this question too. So let's get into that with our over on the Star Mechanical guest line. Star Mechanical is one of Edmonton's biggest locally owned and operated plumbing and heating businesses. They've been working within the community for over 20 years, and many homes built in Edmonton over the last 2 decades have had their plumbing and heating systems installed by Star Mechanical. Visit them at starmechanical.ca to schedule an appointment and let them keep your home running smoothly. There you go. Bring him in. Anthony DeMarco. Anthony, how you doing?
Not too bad, boys. What's going on?
The vibes are very good over here, if you can believe it or not, after a huge win by Canada.
Victory Friday?
Yeah, Victory Friday.
Weekend started early.
The big debate in our chat, though, is tournament MVP. Obviously, Nathan McKinnon. I think it's probably the right decision. What did you make of that decision to give it to McKinnon?
Yeah, I think it was a safe pick. I mean, you could have gone Crosby. You could have probably gone McDavid, especially getting the golden goal, I guess, for lack of better words. But, like, I mean, this is kind of like a heroic pick on my side. But, like, I think a guy like Devon Toews actually should have maybe gotten some consideration. I know you'll never actually get it because he's not an offensive dynamo, didn't really put up points. But based on all the adversity their defense faced in this tournament, Theodore getting injured in game 1, Makar not playing in 1 game, Josh Morrissey not playing last night, all like the fluid situation from the beginning of the tournament right to the end, I think Devon Toews was a rock star, but obviously you're not going to give it to a stay-at-home defenseman. So I think McKinnon was a very safe choice.
I think you're right, though. That Canadian blue line was way more beat up than was like really thrown about. Obviously, the injuries on the U.S. were a bit more notable, I guess you could say, with like both the Chucks missing time during games and Matthews as well. You mentioned on our show earlier in the season that Travis Sanheim was somebody who was going to potentially make this team. Obviously, ended up doing it. I haven't really seen him a lot prior to that. Like, I think he had a really strong tournament, and I think he showed the league what he's kind of all about. Is that what you see all the time when you watch him on the Flyers?
Yeah, well, like, look, it has been a very, like, I guess, up and down career for Travis Sanheim. You know, when Danny Briere first took over as general manager, if it was not for Torrey Krug, Travis Sanheim would be a St. Louis Blue right now when Krug refused to waive his no-trade clause. And that was not a good first season for Travis Sanheim under John Tortorella. But all that, you know, tough love that was put on Sanheim by Tortorella elevated him from a second-pair defenseman from what he was from 2018 to 2022, 2023, all the way to number 1 guy now. Now, is he an elite defenseman like a Makar or a Hughes? Obviously not, but I do think he has, under the radar, been a number 1 defenseman for the team. And, you know, he plays on the right side of the top pair with Cam York, who probably isn't a first-pair defenseman, objectively speaking. And he has really been the staple of that Philadelphia Flyers blue line. And look at what Sanheim did in this tournament. One of the reasons why he made the team was because he is so versatile and he could play pretty much in any situation and on either side. His first game, he plays on the right side with Devon Toews. His second game, he plays on the third pair with Drew Doughty. And then when Morrissey can't go last night, he's elevated to the second pair with Colton Parayko. Like, Sanheim went from not playing to literally checking every single kind of box on that Canadian blue line. And I think that's exactly what you get from Travis Sanheim, is he could play any situation, any pair, either side. And that's why Canada took him, and it paid off in the end.
Yeah, I think too. Obviously, the Olympics is so close to you know, when we need to pick this roster again. I think Sanheim, like you said, like just being so diverse and like in these tournaments, like you never know what's going to happen. Like having someone like that is going to be very important for Canada. And I guess the question is how different do you think this team is going to look when they end up going to the Olympics next year? Like I obviously a bit more players to pick from as well.
Yeah, like for me, I think the defense is going to look different. Like, I don't think Colton Parayko had a good tournament. I know Doug Armstrong's running the show for Hockey Canada, and we always get infatuated, or at least some executives do, with the big, tough guys. But I think Parayko was always kind of fumbling with the puck. His foot speed got exposed. And on international ice next year, I think that will even be further exposed. And once it's double IHF international rules, that physicality is going to be a lot toned down. So I don't think we see Parayko. I even thought Josh Morrissey had somewhat of an underwhelming tournament as well. I wonder if Doughty's there. I think you see Theodore there next year. I think you see Pietrangelo there next year. It gives another 12 months for someone like Evan Bouchard to get put his staple on things. A guy like Noah Dobson, Mackenzie Weegar. So I think you could see like 2 to 3 more or different defensemen on that blue line. And up front, I mean, I just think that you saw why not taking Zach Hyman was such a mistake. Like John Cooper was trying just game over game to try and figure out who to play with Connor McDavid. Obviously, Marner stepped up to the challenge finally last night. But I think that taking a guy like Mark Stone over over Zach Hyman really was a problem. Like I thought Mark Stone had a tough tournament. He was having trouble keeping up with McDavid. He eventually got shifted down to the bottom 6 last night. I actually find it peculiar that they never tried a Travis Konechny with Connor McDavid. But when all is said and done, I think like you won't see Mark Stone there next year. Maybe you don't see a Jarvis. Maybe you don't see a Konechny. And honestly, like Sam Reinhart for me was the most disappointing forward among all. So I think up front you could see 4 or 5 changes possibly.
Yeah, I agree with you on a couple of those points. Like I thought Travis Konechny after one game, like maybe not his greatest, but like it was obvious Connor McDavid needed someone on his line that was going to crash the net and like get close and a bit more gritty than what Mitch Marner was going to do. And just seems to take him a while to really get to that point of like where Connor McDavid needed to be. And like they were more focused on having like McKinnon and Crosby do well. But either way, it worked out. So we're all good here. Yeah. Moving on to tomorrow's game, obviously like getting thrown right into like NHL schedule, especially from an Oilers and Flyers perspective, like 11 a.m. game here for us. Before the break, not too long, the Flyers made a trade with the Calgary Flames. I know Kuzmenko's only played one game and Peltier hasn't played yet, but like, what kind of impact do you expect those 2 players to have on the Flyers lineup?
Well, I think Kuzmenko will help their power play for sure, and I think he has an offensive ceiling that is better than both Frost and Farabee. The problem with Kuzmenko is obviously his consistency, and how is that style of play going to mesh with John Tortorella? He has a history with Matvei Michkov, but I don't even think he played with Matvei Michkov, which is very John Tortorella-esque thing to do. Peltier, I mean, I expect him to be in the bottom 6, maybe kind of plug a hole like with a Scott Lawton or a Noah Cates in like a checking role. But I don't think either player is going to change the tide completely for this team unless Kuzmenko could find his form from 2-3 seasons ago with Vancouver. But I mean, again, the Flyers arguably have the worst center depth position in the NHL. Like 1 through 4, I don't think there's a team with worse center icemen in the NHL. Between Sean Couturier, Noah Cates, Scott Lawton, I think it's Rodrigo Balls right now, and he's a placeholder for Ryan Poehling. So even for talented wingers like a Konechny, like a Michkov, like a Kuzmenko, when you're dealing with that type of center ice and the lack of talent down the middle, and that's no slight on those guys, but they're all like defense first checking guys, it's just tough to really find your max potential.
Obviously, we're only 2 weeks away from the NHL trade deadline, and the assumption would be the Flyers maybe sell off a couple more pieces unless they have a really good start to back from this break. Like, who do you think would be a good fit that Oilers fans could look at tomorrow as like a potential trade target for Edmonton?
Well, I've brought this up before, but I think Ristolainen is a guy that makes a lot of sense for the Oilers. You know, you need that stay-at-home physical guy for your second pair to play alongside Darnell Nurse. I know a lot of people, specifically those who track analytics, will be like, oh my God, that's straight from hell, you know, Nurse and Ristolainen. But Ristolainen, if even underlying numbers-wise, he's been really good for well over 12 months at this point. Like, it's been a season and a half where Ristolainen has, I would say, been playing the best hockey of his career and has really been transformed under John Tortorella and associate coach Brad Shaw into like a really rock solid stay-at-home second pair guy. Look, obviously he comes with a $5.1 million AAV for 2 seasons beyond this one, but I don't think John Klingberg's probably the answer on that second pair going into the playoffs for the Oilers on the right side. So I think Risto among all the players would make the most sense for them.
Before we let you go, I have one more trade deadline question. Obviously, like I said, a couple weeks away. Like, What's a fun prediction you have for this? Like, what's a matchmaker, I guess we could call it, like Frank had the article the other week and matched up a couple guys. Who do you think is a good fit for a player in a team?
Well, I actually just spoke about this today on TSN Radio in Montreal, but Seth Jones in Detroit. I don't know why. It just, for me, Detroit really needs some help on the blue line. Beyond their two young guys in Edvinsson and Mort Seider, I think that defense is brutal, to be quite honest with you. And the vets that they've brought in there, whether it be Sherratt, Justin Hall, there's another guy that that the name's escaping me right now. But I just find like Jeff Petrie. Those three guys I just don't think have done the job, and it really makes me question Steve Yzerman's pro scouting department. But be that as it may, I think that if you were to bring in a Seth Jones to pair with like a Simon Edvinsson, yes, it is a long-term commitment. We know the salary that is attached to Seth Jones along with the term, but by all accounts, the Blackhawks will be able to retain. But if you could get Seth Jones down to like a $7.5 million player and kind of being like that number 2-3 range salary-wise, even though it's a long-term commitment, that's a good partner long-term for Simon Edvinsson. And then all you have to do is try and shake things out alongside Mort Seider. So Seth Jones and Detroit is something that makes a lot of sense to me.
I do think Seth Jones is like slightly undervalued too. He's definitely not the player I guess you could say he once was. He's also been on a terrible team for a while now. So I think if you can get some salary retained, the cap's going up, it kind of just is what it is. But I did see a Red Wings fan tweet yesterday that how can I go from watching this best on best having to watch Justin Hall every other night? So disappointing for them in Detroit, but
it's brutal, man. Like, and it's just like, who would have like, it's like almost everyone besides Steve Yzerman knew that signing Sherratt, Justin Hall, and trading for Jeff Petrie was a really bad idea. But here we are.
Can't wait to see what they do at the deadline. Anthony, thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the hockey when we're all back here in the NHL.
Thanks a lot, boys. Enjoy the weekend.
Yeah, see you later. There you go. Anthony DeMarco. You can catch all his stuff over at dailyfaceoff.com. All right, Aaron, where are we up to?
I hate to say it, but I did not think Devon Toews was good. I couldn't disagree more with that take.
I think he had his
the chat
moments.
also felt that sentiment as well, but
I did see a few comments. I think Anthony was more saying he stepped up. Like there was a lot of injuries to that, and like he was there and supposed to be like Cale Makar's guy, and he stepped up in the moment, and I don't think he was perfect yesterday, but...
And he gets the step-up award, not the MVP award.
Yeah, but that Canada blue line was probably, again, like a bit more beat up than...
There was a lot of moving parts in there, brother.
Totally.
Like, the panic I felt yesterday when they announced Morrissey was out, because I kind of disagree with that one as well. I thought Morrissey was incredible, and I was very concerned when he was going to be out of the lineup, but, dude, Thomas Harley gets some love, too, for being one of those guys that stepped into a role. I don't think... We had this discussion. Was he the first choice, or was he just the only guy that was willing to leave Cobb out during that week? Either way, he played great.
Yeah, that's let us know in the chat, too. Obviously, Thomas Harley played great, and he is a really solid player. Great Canadian boy, born in Syracuse, New York, but that is what it is, I suppose. Do you think that Harley, like, is he in the running for the Olympic team? He probably is more now than he was before, I would say. It's just like he wasn't a name that was brought up before the tournament being like, hey, like, what if Thomas Harley gets his name in the picture? And I know once he was called up, a lot of people were talking about, like, oh, look at his analytics and all that stuff. And he's a solid player. He was good against the Oilers in the playoffs last year, too. But, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he would be in the running for the Olympic team. But for the Olympics, too, I think it's important to remember they're obviously going to Italy. So you take your 3 goalies, again, like you do to every Olympics. You probably take 14 forwards, and then you take 8 defensemen. So...
You need a little bit of everything. I like that point about Sanheim because he can flip, both sides. He's the chameleon of defense back there. He was pretty good. The one thing that I thought about Harley was just like, in this tournament, I would think maybe more stereotypically your third pairing D-man would be a big, thick guy that's more of a shutdown style, but it worked out with Thomas Harley.
Totally.
Stepping into that role. Shows why I'm not picking the team. Because I also never said a bad word about Jordan Binnington. Not once.
I love Jordan Binnington. I've loved him ever since yesterday. Wise Kyle made a point in the chat, and I know Anthony said it. The Olympics will be played on NHL ice next year, but obviously you still have double IHF officials, which makes things different. I think Canada should still go with the physical side of things too, because at the end of the day, like, the Kachucks are still going to go out there and hit, and that physical side of the U.S. is still going to be there. So that is what it is. Why are people laughing?
I don't know.
Did I
You're
say
a funny guy, dude.
Oh, I can't remember what I said the Binnington thing.
Oh, yeah.
Classic. Classic. Okay. The Oilers play tomorrow, which is very exciting. Obviously, like we said, you'll be back with pregame. So let's get into a quick lineup report brought to you by Oodle Noodle. Running until March 2nd, go into Oodle Noodle and fill out a free ballot to enter a draw for a spot on the nation vacation to Viva Las Vegas. You like that? That's my Elvis impression. You can also get a second ballot with any purchase. Must be 21 or older with a valid passport to enter. Visit oodlenoodle.ca for more details. I am 100% having Oodle Noodle tonight.
Dude, me too. I already thought of it this morning. I was like, my fridge is empty. I got nothing in there. It's a noodle night.
When the missus was leaving this morning, she gets up much earlier than I do. She woke me up and she's like, "Are we having noodle tonight?" I'm like, "Absolutely. If you'd like to." She's like, "Just my usual."
We'll be ordering from the same noodle.
We will be. Yes, we will be. So that's exciting.
I bet they hate us there.
They hate us because they ain't us. I do always feel kind of rude when I go in and I'm just like, sorry. Oilers lineup for tomorrow. Matthew Savoy is in. And that is kind of the big news coming out of it. This is from the other day, right?
Yeah.
So, hey, breaking news. Derek Ryan is not playing on the first line. I'm assuming that's Connor McDavid. So the first line will be Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Connor McDavid, and Zach Hyman. Second line, Podkolzin, Leon Draisaitl, Matt Savoy. Third line, Jeff Skinner, Adam Henrique, Connor Brown. Fourth line, Kasperi Kapanen, Matthias Yaremchuk, and Corey Perry. Obviously, Victor Arvidsson not part of that forward group. We'll see where he kind of slides in. I think it might be for Kapanen, if I had to think about it. I could see Philly being a bit more of a physical game. Blue line, Nurse, Klingberg, Stetcher, Bouchard, Kulak, Emberson, obviously, Matthias Ekholm not skiing as well because he was away with Team Sweden, so I think it's fair to assume that, hey, Troy Stetcher probably isn't playing next to Evan Bouchard tomorrow. But let me know in the chat what you kind of think of this lineup. Eyes Within, spooky name. Pods needs to go down. Yeah, he could probably do it. Bit of a reset. I think they did that right before the break, if I'm not mistaken.
They did, and
right?
I called this the reset right now. He just had a break. He's been consistent with Leon. You go with what kind of got you here to this point, and then figure it out.
Right. Based Ivy. Ryan 1C. I always knew it. Brian, why is Skinner not with Dry? I think he actually has been playing pretty well with Adam Henrique when the two of them have had some moments, but obviously Jeff Skinner went into the break and played was playing really, really well for the Oilers. So, hey, I actually don't expect these to be the lines at all, but I do think that Matthew Savoy coming up is just, they want to put him in a spot where he can succeed for a few games. I think he's only going to be around for this road trip, to be honest.
I say it on every pre-gaming. An Oilers depth chart is just a recommendation, okay? It's
Totally.
not set in stone whatsoever.
Yeah, 100%. Stuart Skinner going to get the start tomorrow, according to Bob Stoffer, who got that from Chris Knobloch.
I'm curious if they all would have watched that game last night together. I would assume so.
Oh, I would think so.
Up. I love Leon's Instagram story, just a black
9-7.
and then put 97.
I loved Brandon Hagel's Instagram story.
Oh, that was incredible.
That was sick. If you didn't see it, Brandon Hagel put I'm assuming it was already a group chat, all the players from the team into a group chat and just made it champs, and then put something, I think it was just a Canadian flag above it or something like that. So that was pretty gangster. Chell Iverson put in the chat. It was a comment from Lance who said, Liam being rude, I don't believe it. Pretty polite boy. Chell said, Liam is only slightly irritable if he doesn't get high tea. You better believe it. I have my cup of tea every morning. It's a lovely
Liam,
time.
they're also asking you to say cup year.
Cup yep.
Because we are back. Because it's a cup year.
Cup yep. Oh, yeah, Lance said, Liam, let's get a cup year. The regular season is back. It feels kind of weird. Liam from Chell again. The new thoughts on trade deadline targets after the Four Nations. Let's get into a rumor mill right now. Who's that one by, Aaron? Oh, Charm Diamond. Okay, let's do that one. Rumor mill quickly. I know I'm kind of moving around on you. Charm Diamond is probably Canadian owned and operated since 1972 with more than 85 locations across the country. through Charm and their sister brands. Check out a large selection of Canadian lab-grown diamonds, mine diamonds. For more information, go to charmdiamondcenters.com. We should change this ad read again. Proudly Canadian winners.
There you go. Do you have a lab-grown diamond or a mine diamond?
Labbed, I think. I think it's definitely labbed.
I shouldn't ask.
Don't ask me questions. Trade deadline thoughts. I'll be honest with you, I've not thought about this a lot the last little bit, but the couple of things that we have to know. Frank Saravalli said this the other week on DFL Rundown, and Elliot Freeman said it too on 32 Thoughts, I think. Mikko Rantanen could be available, which is just insane to think about. So this is from BR Open Ice. Teams could view Mikko Rantanen as an NHL trade deadline rental, according to Elliot Freeman. Carolina could retain salary in a trade, making Rantanen's cap hit $2.3 million. My goodness.
What happened?
That whole trade was a bit weird, for sure. Like, unexpected, I think is fair to say. If the others could somehow get their hands on Mikko Rantanen, then you got to figure it out. Frank did report when he said this on the rundown as well, that Carolina would want a similar return. So that would be difficult for the Oilers to pull off. Obviously, Martin Necas went in the deal, Jack Drury, and a couple of picks. I don't think a first-round pick was thrown out there. I think it was a third and whatever it would be. I'm not sure how the Oilers do that.
Yeah, I don't think we got much to return back.
So, hey, if Carolina wants a few picks, which I doubt they would, I think they're going to want some players. But, like, do they... I'm going to say this and it's wrong, but, like, do they want a reunion with Jeff Skinner? Probably not.
Probably not.
Like, Nuge is the only player that's close.
And I didn't say it for a reason because I don't want to put that out in the universe because we have shirts that say keep Nuge forever.
Yeah, and I just don't see it happening. Yeah, I don't see that happening. Matthew,
dare to dream, but no, we gotta pull back on that one.
It's a bit too difficult to pull off, I think, for the Oilers. But if somehow they can get it done for a few picks, and if somehow he doesn't go to the Vegas Golden Knights, I'm not that bothered.
I'll get the jersey. To be honest, if it
happens. What else was in? Oh yeah, Kevin Lankinen signed a new deal in Vancouver. Why? I shouldn't even say why. I actually think he's been a really solid goalie for them this year. But $4.5 million for 5 years for Kevin Lankinen, who is now what? He's got to be in his 30s, right?
Somewhere around there. And the thing with Thatcher Demko, he's in year 4 of 5 of a $5 million deal. So all this says to me is Vancouver is not confident in the health of Thatcher Demko.
I would agree.
And this is a great 1B backup plan to have in Kevin Lankinen. He had a great start to the season this year.
5 years, though, feels crazy.
Right? It's just Vancouver's doing a little bit of everything.
They're trying to put tape over the cracks. And
they need Flex Seal. They need Billy Mays Flex Seal.
It's going to implode on them big time. Like, I don't know. The contract they gave to Marcus Pettersson, I didn't really like. I don't love the Kevin Lankinen one. As good as he's been, don't get me wrong, but, like, that guy wasn't being signed by anyone this offseason, and you give him $4.5 million for 5 years. I think it's more of an indication of where Thatcher Demko is maybe at in his career. Yeah. Could he be an Oiler?
Somebody said he's the same age as Demko, which would be 29.
Yeah, they're both 29.
Hey,
Lankinen turns 30 on April 28th. There was another comment in here from Matthew. Liam Puckpedia tells me, your sources, Matthew? Kane is returning next week. Is that actually true? I haven't seen anything official on Evander Kane coming back, but obviously Frank came in our show the other week when he broke the news to us that Michael McCarron would be a good fit for the Oilers. That March 1st is kind of the deadline the Oilers have on Evander Kane if he's going to come back before the end of the season, which obviously would really disrupt their plans for the trade deadline. I think people were a little confused about it online, saying how, like, Frank was saying how the Oilers, like, wouldn't have done all this. Like, people were saying that Frank was wrong because the Oilers wouldn't have accrued cap. But sometimes it just happens.
The thing about things is things change.
Things change. Like this one, Dexter. Didn't Liam want to give Stuart Skinner $9 million? Yeah, that was after he was 1 win away from winning the Stanley Cup, if you remember correctly. Now I would not do that. If he wins it
this year,
$10 million, whatever you want to give him.
Also, just want to get a quick plug in because we're talking trades. People, we got a trade deadline show coming up March 7th. I'm going to be producing this bad boy. We got Frank Saravoli. Tyler will be hosting the entire thing. Keep it locked on the Daily Faceoff YouTube March 7th because we're giving you all the need-to-know information as it's happening. These shows are the funnest. They're very stressful. And then afterwards, the post-show beer after a trade deadline show. Oh, my God. Odd Company Nation beer. I'm going to have a couple.
This is a fun show to work behind the scenes on.
Yes.
Because Aaron, Pat, and I essentially lock ourselves in a room for a day. Smells like
dude in there. It
garbage,
smells
to
like
be
dude
honest,
in there.
after. But, like, it's a fun show. The chaos is a good tempo, to say the least.
You can
but
be as prepped as you want, and then the moment it
doesn't
starts,
matter.
it's all out the window.
Ty does obviously a great job of hosting this one as well, and Frank breaking trades throughout the show. I think Carter Hutton's on the show with him again this year. Colby Cohen is also on there. So, yeah, it's a great one to go check out. March 7th is going to be a chaotic day. I don't know what the others are going to do,
I
to
bet
be
we get
honest.
noodle that day.
I bet we will too. It's tradition.
Yep.
It's tradition. Okay, where are we up to, Aaron? Where do we need to go from here, you think?
Should we talk about Safeway?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Okay, Safeway in What's Trending. So we got a new partner over on Oilers Nation every day, and it's Safeway. Think you know hockey? Play the Safeway My NHL Picks Weekly for a chance to win big prizes, like a trip for 4 to a 2025 NHL season opener of your choice. A new slate of games opens up every Thursday from now until the end of the regular season, so download the Safeway app and start playing today for your chance to win. I love Safeway. My favorite part about Safeway, and I think I can say this because Safeway is a partner with them, getting scene points.
Oh, hell
That is great.
dude.
And also, too, they have awesome deals.
They got
and
the
I
good,
love,
like, fresh food. Like it's
They
not,
do.
Like, it's like a buffet. I guess it is a buffet.
They have the little the lunch sink
Yeah,
that they
exactly,
have.
right?
Now, when I worked at the Sherwood Ford Crusaders, obviously the rink is right across the street from Safeway. If it was a nice summer's day, get my 2-hour union lunch, and I was good to go.
And they got a fun game going on now.
Yes, they do. Do you have my picks?
Yep.
For the week, so you can go into the app, download the app. It's free, and you can play along as well. I think you might still be able to do it considering no games are being played today. But these are my picks for the upcoming week. Obviously, went with the Edmonton Oilers to beat the Philadelphia Flyers tomorrow. Along with that, Detroit. I try to pick one every day, by the way. Detroit to beat Anaheim, Winnipeg to beat San Jose on Monday, Washington to beat Calgary on Tuesday because suck it, Calgary, and then on Wednesday, Winnipeg to beat the Ottawa Senators. On the road, the home teams on the left, the road teams are on the right. Let me know if you're playing along. I play this one, honestly, without even a sponsorship requirement. This is something I do every week anyway. So shout out to Safeway. This is a fun one. This is a fun one to be partnered with. They're also sponsoring our What's Trending segment. I thought this was posted by Yegwave, who, of course, sometimes tweets some controversial stuff, to say the least. But many of you may have heard the story going around the city the last little bit, and this happened a few days ago, so I'm a bit late on it, but I just saw it yesterday. There was a soccer team, I think it was a U12 team, was fundraising money to go down to a soccer tournament in Vegas, and their coach stole the money, if I'm not mistaken. And
Scumbag.
he's now they found him, all that kind of stuff is going down on the criminal side of things. But Evander Kane donated to the cause to help out this team, donated $4,000, which was unreal. And by what Yegway was saying was like one of, if not the only notable, I guess, celebrity we can call them to donate. So big shout out to Evander Kane.
Shout out to Greta as well. They had a little fundraiser.
Did Greta
as well
do
for
it
that
too?
team.
That's awesome. Yeah, so it's cool. It's always good to see the community kind of come together and help out these kids who have done a lot to earn that money and go down that trip. And like we've all done
drives,
that
okay?
stuff.
You know how many bottles that takes to get there?
Oh, unreal. And like I never got a chance to go on a Vegas trip, but I do know what tournament this is, and there was like quite a few teams in the area who I would play against who would go down, and after every game you could see them, like the parents that have like little tables at the soccer center and stuff, like trying to raise some money to go down. So shout out to Evander Kane. I think we've seen the good side of him in the community whilst he's been off the ice, and it really is awesome to see. So that's the only thing I have for What's Trending, because I think it's just something that deserves
and
quite
Canada
a bit of
won.
love. Oh yeah, Canada won.
Bang.
Go Canada, go.
Freebird banned.
Yeah, farewell to Freebird. Last but not least, Aaron, the Bet365 betting talk. You already know. Download the app today. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You can use the code Nation. 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 My favorite part about the Four Nations and what I miss the most, Aaron? Betting on anytime goal scorers.
Dude, the anytime goal scorers, because everybody had juice next to their name. Like, when you're doing the Oilers, it's really just a couple of dudes, and they're really in the top six, so you're not really getting that many plus signs with it. This was crazy, and, every guy, you looked at it, and you're like, no, he could score. No, he could do it. Like, a Sam Bennett goal, I'm sure, had some juice last night.
Oh,
So you said you did well?
I did awesome. So yesterday, I had McDavid and McKinnon goal. McKinnon was plus 190. McDavid was plus 210. So that was awesome. I did say, and I said it throughout the show, throughout the week, sorry, I was going to go with Canada puck line. I just kind of thought if Canada was up, net gets empty. I did think it would be a close game. Wasn't expecting a blowout. Didn't get that one. But I did have, there was a boost. Canada to win.
Yeah.
Plus 150, so that was nice. Throughout the tournament, I bet on Jake Gensel a bunch to score. He did a great job. Was plus 300 a bunch of times. Matthew Tkachuk was high up there at plus 275. My favorite one, though, and I'll never forget, Mikko Rantanen plus 250 for Finland. And he scored that one against Sweden. So that's when I bet him. I also had a Kempe goal in one of the games, too. He was 200 or something, too. So that's what I miss the most about the Four Nations. What about you?
Boardsy's Bankroll's back tomorrow, baby. I'm ready to get back on the horse looking at it.
Have you
I'm looking at it right
so tomorrow
now.
the Oilers,
Leon 2 points plus 110. L word.
Oilers are heavy favorites tomorrow, minus 200 on the money line. The Flyers plus 160 on the puck line for the Oilers, plus 130. Goals tomorrow. Not as juice, but Leon Draisaitl plus 120. Connor McDavid plus 135. Zach Hyman plus 165. Best player. Favorite to score, for the Flyers plus 190 is Travis Konechny. So tomorrow, Aaron, you'll be live at 10 a.m.
brother.
Down at Greta. Oh, I did want to get into one thing quickly. I know we're just a little bit over time, but so Sherwood Ford Giant Question. We'll just reflect on this really, really quickly ahead of tomorrow's game. Sherwood Ford Giant Question. Free valet service for all Oilers fans. Never visit the dealership again for a car service. Get an exclusive swag package with every Nation Valet booked online and get automatically entered to win a monthly prize. Book online at sherwoodford.ca to make sure you add Oilers Nation Valet in a pickup comment to get in for the draw. Oilers Nation fans, your hockey destination is Sherwood Ford. The question for tomorrow, and I think it's interesting one considering the time that the Oilers play, but there is confirmation Connor McDavid did travel to Philadelphia this morning, I would assume.
I got a tweet here from Spec. Everybody read Spec. The Philadelphia Flyers invited Connor McDavid to fly back to Philly on their charter from Boston, along with John Tortorella, Travis Konechny, and Travis Sanheim. That's beautiful. I would love to see a selfie in there of them popping champagne in Torts' face. But I don't know. Funny. I would have no problem if he didn't play tomorrow. This is such a turnaround, such a quick turnaround.
That is the giant question. Should Connor McDavid play tomorrow against the Philadelphia Flyers?
Derek Ryan, 1C.
The Oilers do play Washington, I think it is, on Sunday at 11 a.m. again, and then continue their road trip with stops in Carolina, Tampa Bay, and Florida. So let me know in the chat really quickly, should Connor McDavid play tomorrow against the Philadelphia Flyers? Obviously, not official yet, but Matthew Savoy is going to get called up. I'm assuming tomorrow morning it'll become official. They're clearly accruing some cap. I would think that Arvidsson could just play. He's obviously been out of the tournament since Monday would have been their game.
It's also Victor Arvidsson.
It's also Victor Arvidsson, so that's a layer. Southpaw said give McDavid the weekend off. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea. Nathan said yes, he should play. I think he just said yes, I'm assuming. Or are they saying?
I don't know.
The
The Nathan one's got me confused. All the other ones.
Derek said take a day. Ryan S. said no, but McDavid wants to. Yeah, I think that's going to be a big layer of it as well. Nathan followed up. Dave will play. Come on, who are we talking about here? Hey,
the way he celebrated with that trophy, he's locked in on Oilers hockey.
I think he's ready to go. Again, I don't think the Oilers, the players really cared about the trophy. The Naj, give him a break. Matthew, yes. And he did this. Goes to the University of Miami.
Face dive, he said Ryan 1C, really happening? No.
No. Gary also said let him rest. So there you go. We'll know more tomorrow when Aaron goes live at 10 a.m. down at Greta. I don't think there's any spots left for a brunch for Ben, unfortunately.
Entirely
but
sold out.
I think you can make donations at nation.ca, or you can just, again, drop super chats whenever you like on our show. And believe me, all the donations go straight to the Ben Stelter Foundation. So thanks a lot to everyone who donated today. The big one, obviously, coming in from Cup Year. Oh, there was one from Rusty. I never read it. We'll do this and then we'll end it because I think it's a nice way to go. Rusty the Reckless Optimist donated $5 to the Super Chat, which is the Ben Stelter Foundation again. Congrats, Team Canada. The shirt has been purchased. I am ready to cheer for the same team as all y'all. Let's go, Oilers. Cup Year. There you go.
Cup Year.
Thanks, Rusty, and thank you, everybody, for the donations today and for watching the show. Tyler and I will be back together in the studio on Monday. Can you
Man,
believe
to be
it?
back together. It's been a minute because I was in Arizona, and then, yeah.
That's right. It's been a long time. So have a great weekend, everybody. Oilers hockey is back this weekend. Hopefully the Oiler boys can wrap up a couple of victories on the road. We'll see you Monday.
Oil up.